Hi, I'm Garm One, and this is Midgardia's cool crowdfunding show. I'm here today with Nevyn Holmes. How's it going?
Hey, it's going. It's been a long day, but I'm doing all right, and now I'm here doing this, and I'm excited.
Hell yeah. So you're here today to talk about Gun Slingers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I will. Uh, in fact, I'm going to read this copy that I have right here for just such an occasion. Gun and Slinger is an RPG about a weapon and a wanderer. A maestro and two players as the gun and slinger set out into a dead planet mutated by a god's forgotten child and hunt strange bounties, investigate the world, and unlock hidden powers. During play, they learn the nature of what's hunting them, discover how the world died, and figure out why the gun is sentient. It's a game that uses Go Fish and Blackjack as resolution mechanics, and it's geared for short campaigns or episodic play, and it's really focused on giving you the tools to take the setting that I've written in the book and further define it and make it your own.
Cool. That's quite a concise bit of text on it.
Yeah, I've had time to flesh it out. I've been working on this for I think a year at this point.
And it shows. Also, the art is friggin' lovely, by the way.
Yeah, Emma. The cover art on the Kickstarter is done by my friend Corbin, and the rest of the art, the actual interior art for the game, is done by my friend Emma Harvey. She does a webcomic Rat City and just has a really juicy, visceral art style. And the cover for the final product is being done by Sadia Bees.
Cool.
And that's still in the works.
Soon. And
I
yeah,
hope so.
I'm not sure exactly when this is going to be released, but the Kickstarter doesn't start till August 13th. So that image may actually be out by the time you see this.
I hope so. But if not, it's fine. Like
Yeah, that's how
I've
it
seen
goes.
some of what they're doing, and we're currently like going back and forth on the stuff, and it is very good. It's gonna slap hard.
All right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the game, mechanically?
Okay, so as I said, it uses Go Fish as a resolution system. Um, Everybody at the table, the maestro included, has a hand of 5 cards, and you're trying to make pairs of cards with the value, not the suit. So if you have 2 twos in your hand, you slap them together, you put them face down on the table in front of you in what's called your cache. And then when you're trying to do something, say you're trying to sneak past a guard, I, the maestro, will think in my head up the difficulty. I will let you know, not what the difficulty is, but let you know that I'm ready, essentially. And then you ask either the maestro or the other player, hey, you got any 3s? You got any 5s? Whatever. If they do, they give you one. You make any pairs and put them face down, and then you proceed with paying with any pairs that you have to succeed in the check. So if I have that pair of 2s, I pay with that, and the value is 2. You add any stats you have, any item bonuses that you've earned or worked out that you have, and you have to meet or exceed the difficulty of the check. So sneaking past somebody who's not aware and a little drunk would be easy, so it's like a 2 or 3. You pay with their 2, you've got a light on your feet score of 2, so you've got 4, you succeed, on with your day.
All
If you
right.
don't have stuff to pay it, or if you don't want to pay it, there are other options for like mixed successes and stuff like that, but that gets a little more in depth. The gist of it is go fish.
I mean, fair enough. So the value of it is dependent on the card. So a pair of tens is really good. Is
Yeah, a pair of tens is 10. To keep things simple and in a smaller range, the difficulty is always that of the single, not of the pair added together.
right. Are aces high or low by default?
Uh, if you have a pair of aces, it's just like a critical success, and there are a few options for little extra things that you can get. You can ask questions, you can declare facts about the world. The ace high-low thing comes into play with what's called a blind pay, which is basically cooperative blackjack. So you can pay with an ace and then decide after both of you have flipped your cards over if it's high or low.
All right. All right.
I'm really happy with the blind pay mechanic. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here, but it's pretty good.
I hear. I love blackjack. Probably my favorite card game, and that might just be because it's really simple.
It's really easy to understand blackjack, and it's really fun to mess with as a game.
Yeah, I bet. So how I'm having a hard time phrasing my questions because it's a very odd kind of game with its uh, weird asymmetry and all that, which is also a topic we covered in the interview with Spencer Campbell because his is also a lot of that.
Yeah, he and I share a design brain. We've come to realize.
I'm getting that, yeah. And I'm also a sucker for any game that uses cards instead of dice. It always makes me really happy.
There's a really like satisfying tactility to cards that you don't get with dice.
Absolutely. And it makes it feel a little more strategic, even if it really isn't.
A little, yeah. It's kind of like a simulacra of strategery, but it's there and it feels good. And my design camp is if it feels good and it gets across a thing that you're trying to do, then it's the right thing to use.
Hell yeah. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about the gun?
The gun. All right. So the gun is actually, the gun wasn't always a gun. During setup, the gun player actually has a question that they get to answer that's, you weren't always in this body of cold steel and violence. What were you before and how much do you remember? And we've had things that ranged from they were a demon who was trapped in here after losing a bet. They were an Old Testament style angel. They are the ghost of everyone in this graveyard simultaneously. And most recently, the gun was the chosen weapon of lore throughout of legend throughout time. So like they were Excalibur, they were Paul Bunyan's axe, and so on and so forth. And now they are the gun.
Right, a little bit of the sixth gun thing going on there.
Yeah, the gun is very much, it is a gun, but they are also whatever you want them to be beyond their current form.
Right.
As far as capabilities, their stats, just as an example, are embodiment of magic, sharp for a gun, and just a little bit mean. And the stats are intentionally worded this way in this game because I want players to be able to bend them. Because the example that I give on the Kickstarter page is sharp for a gun could mean that you are quick-witted and fast and clever, or it could mean you're made out of knives. It's up to you. Or it can mean both.
A big old honking bayonet on the front, yeah.
The gun, I mean, we've all seen Final Fantasy.
Yep.
Apart from that, they've got a connection to magic. They essentially spend mana points to do magic that's shaped by a rune engraved on their barrel. You can gain more runes as you level up. You can make your magic bigger and more complicated as you level up. And they can also like dip in and out of the ethereal plane to mess with things or to move around. Sort of like skipping themselves across a river.
Interesting.
I kept to peel back the curtain a little. During playtesting, something common that kept coming up is that as the gun players were feeling limited or like they didn't know what they could do or what they should do. So I decided to just eliminate that and say, you're fine. You can move, you can touch things. It's not perfect, but you can do it. And some people have gotten very clever with it since then.
Yeah, so if I'm the gun and I'm holstered, I can like kind of bounce out of there and like smack a book off a shelf or something. Is
Yeah,
that yeah? All right.
absolutely.
Hell yeah. Haunted by a gun as a dark fate.
Yeah, that's spooky. I don't like it. That's
Guntergeist
scary.
coming soon to theaters. Or
Who
Poltergun,
would
pick your pick.
who would play the gun in Guntergeist? I'm feeling Russell Crowe for some reason, or
Ron,
Mark
Ron,
Hamill.
Mark Hamill's good. Um,
No, Mark Hamill would be the guy getting haunted. I
there
think
you
he could
go.
do that really well.
Give it.
I'm sold on Russell Crowe as the gun. Final answer.
Give us Mark Meer for the gun. That's what I'm
That'd
gonna
be
go with.
good.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman. What are we
I
doing?
I did almost say Ron Perlman earlier.
That's the answer.
Yeah,
There we
no.
go.
No.
I
Sorry,
said final answer before. I'm taking it back. Ron Perlman.
sorry,
There we
Mark
go.
Meer. It's Ron Perlman. You know how it is.
That's the way it goes.
So why don't you tell me a bit about the Slinger then?
The Slinger, their history is a little less. Well, it's not at all defined, really. They don't have the same kinds of questions that the gun has. Their question instead is like, where did you find the gun, and what are you looking for? So you less define the Slinger's past, and you more defined what they're trying to get towards. Let me scroll down to their character sheet real quick. Here's some secrets.
Ooh.
So the Slinger has actually been marked by the Twist, which is this big fucked up. Can I say fucked up? I
Yeah,
said
go
it
nuts.
twice now. So it's this big fucked up dark magical energy that was left over by the thing that ate the sky. It has unknowable goals. If it has any, it's unclear if it's just a force of nature now or if it's working towards some more extreme goals. We'll talk about the Twist in a bit, but the Slinger has been marked by the Twist. And as such, they have the ability to pull on that energy to do feats of magic or to do superhuman things. Currently, their two abilities that they can choose from at creation are either become very lucky for a little bit or turn invisible for a little bit. And though that a little bit is defined by what you get from the deck of cards. Their stats are I've been around, good in a fight, and light on my toes. They also have a knife that never dulls and always finds its way back to them. The big thing with the Slinger is that I wanted something to kind of mirror or synergize with the gun's ethical dilemma. Because as a gun, you are a thing created to do violence, and the gun as a character is about that conflict. So the Slinger as a character is about the conflict of, well, I could make this really easy. I just call on the darkness in our world. It's whatever. But they have to worry about doing that too much, because if you use too much Twist, you become claimed by it or marked further.
Right.
Also, if you die, you can make a deal with the Twist to come back.
As you do.
As you do.
And what could go wrong?
Nothing.
Nothing.
That's not a plot hook.
No, definitely not. I know the image of like the gun is presumably something closer to like a big honking revolver, but I just keep imagining like one of those really shitty Zip 22 guns. If you've ever seen them,
I have Google, so.
fair enough. Yeah, like
These little like pocket-sized rapid-fire derringers.
oh, they're not rapid fire. They're fucking
Oh, they're
awful.
not?
No, they're just shit. It's got a clip of like or a magazine size of like 5 by default. You can only hold it with 2 fingers. Complete piece of trash.
It looks like it would be rapid fire, but I like that it's not, because that's funnier.
Let me put it this way: if it could do rapid fire, that thing was not built well enough to actually do it.
It looks like it looks like it would fall apart.
Oh yeah, and ironically, it's really hard to take apart. I've this is a little off topic, but hey, welcome to cool crowdfunding. If you've ever seen Forgotten Weapons, the guy on that has a wonderful video where he just talks about like what a piece of crap that gun is.
Good.
I'll shoot you the link later. It's good stuff.
Please do. Um, the gun actually, like, the current art for it is a big railgun 6-shooter. Emma knocked it out the park with it. I love it so much. But you're not actually limited to being like a handgun in this game. In fact, when you create the gun, the character sheet asks you what your form is. Most players have tended towards like a handgun, a 6-shooter, something like that. I've had a couple people who've done like long guns, like an M1, a bolt action or something like that.
Right, but you could do
There's also
like big honking anti-materiel rifle or something.
Yeah, totally. The thing is, like, mechanically, a single hit on something is enough to kill it. Violence is easy. It's the quick, easy solution in this game. But, you know, it's about that conflict. Things that are touched by the twist, the various monstrosities that you'll encounter, they take more than one hit. But, like, there's not really like stat blocks or anything like that. It's very much a game built towards improv and what feels right.
Right. And you said that one of the major themes is like violence is super easy, but there's the moral conflict of violence might actually be bad. How does that really work in play?
A lot of it honestly comes out narratively. Mechanically, you don't gain XP for killing. That's not what we're trying to do here. Hang on, let me try and find.
I just asked because I'm a big dumb idiot. I like shooting stuff in my tabletop games. And I'm
trying to find. There it is. Yeah, so a lot of it does come through narratively. There's not a lot mechanically that says don't do this. In fact, mechanically, like I said, it makes it very easy to do it.
Right.
But you've got these stats that are loose and that you can always use for some form of communication. Like the gun's embodiment of magic stat. That doesn't just need to be used to do something magical. You can use that to know something about magic. The slingers, what was it? I've been around. That can be to know your way from a place to another place, or it can be to know things about the world because you've been around it for a while.
Right.
For me, in this game, it's about giving the players the freedom to define their characters and approach that conflict of violence being easy in a way that they see fit, in a way that fits their character. I mentioned earlier that at the end of the world, you don't get experience for killing things. At no point do you do that. You get to draw a card, but if you're not engaging in combat, you don't need to draw cards that much anyways. So that is less of a beneficial mechanic and more of a keeping your hands stocked mechanic.
And reinforcing it, violence begets violence.
Exactly. As far as gaining XP goes, there are 4 end of session questions. Did you barely make it out alive? Did you grow your legend? Did you create trouble for yourself where it could have been avoided? And did you learn deeper secrets of the world? You get 1 XP for each of those, and as play progresses, in GM'd play, the maestro can just give out braids, which are the XP in this, whenever they want, whenever you do cool shit. And in GM-less, you can just give each other braids when you do cool shit. Like, I don't think it matters too much, honestly. And there's not actually anything that you can do to progress your character that strictly makes you better at doing violence. They can give you more tools or make your current tools better, but nothing says you can now kill more dudes easier.
Right. Which, because it's a gun, right? It's not, it's not a sword. It's not several years of training to make you good at this. It's a gun. Somebody's probably gonna be angry at me for saying this, but you point and shoot. Not the hardest
Right.
thing.
Yeah. Beyond that, though, little sneak preview. There are 2 stretch goals on the Kickstarter. One is for a play set written by Viditya Valetti. That comes with 2 new characters, the Sword and the Bearer. And then another one is being written by Adira Slattery, and that is an alternate character for the gun called the Demon. So there's a lot going on there with the themes in this game.
I look forward to seeing those.
I look forward to them funding, please. I'm looking at the audience.
Yo,
I need you to do it because I want those things to exist. They're gonna be so rad.
well, I mean, if you're watching this on YouTube, which I don't know why I say that because that's the only place to watch this, should be a link right below. If there's not, please yell at me. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I definitely think it would be, a good little mini campaign.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, why don't you tell me a little bit about the twist, which I'm trying so hard not to say in the M. Night Shyamalan voice.
Yes, good. The twist is... I wrote this out really good too, so I'm just going to read straight from the game text here. The twist is the force that crawls across the lands, left behind and forgotten by the thing that ate the sky. It's hard to tell if it has a real goal, if it's running on instinct, or something worse. It touches, claims, and mutates anything it wants or perhaps needs. The nature of its goals and the ways it manifests are things you'll be learning more about as you play. It's on every planet in this cluster, and it takes many forms. It can possess and manipulate anything and everything, organic, inorganic, sapient, or otherwise. It doesn't matter. It will take what it needs and shape things to fit its desires. It can be a swarm of rats in control of a bandit leader or a monstrous mashup of a human and a Venus flytrap. The twist is the bad guy. There's a lot of complicated things about making a game and saying these people that are reminiscent of real people are your fodder. I think it's a lot better and more interesting to lean into weird monstrosities that have no correlation to the real world. If you're going to make a game that's about violence, unless it's specifically about the violence between different kinds of people, and you can say something interesting with that and do it in an interesting way, why not just make monsters?
I mean, I guess the question is, like, why shouldn't I be violent towards monsters? That seems a lot easier than
Exactly. This is the point.
It's hunted.
That is one of the points of the twist.
Yeah.
It's an easy villain. It's easy to use the twist and say, oh, people are disappearing in this village. What happened? The twist did it. But it's about how you use the twist, because it can literally be anything. I did a Twitter thread. It was like 1 like equals 1 thing the twist has or can do. There's all sorts of shit in there, from inventing fool's gold to helping someone cheat at cards.
Also, when you said rats controlling a bandit leader, I know that's supposed to sound scary. I definitely imagine Ratatouille.
Like it can be a swarm. Oh, no, that is a... I need to add an or into that text. It's supposed to be, it can be a swarm of rats or in control of a bandit leader or a monstrous blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But that's pretty good. I like the visual of 5 rats sitting under someone's hat. Just like drooling purple ooze with big red eyes.
I thought it was a weirdly specific example, but that makes a lot more sense now.
Honestly, it could be both. It's the twist. Make it weird. Make it creepy.
Put the or in brackets and you're good.
Right, here we go. Or there we go. I don't know
Excellent.
if the keyboard picked up on the mic, but that was a good bit, and I'm proud of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing that in the final text. um, yeah, I don't have much to say about the philosophy of violence, honestly.
It's something I've been thinking about a lot recently.
With yeah.
With the world as it is, and with the world's most popular role-playing game being what it is.
Oh, that's a whole kettle of worms.
That's a whole thing. We don't have to get into it, but it's the philosophy and ethics of violence in games is something that's been in my mind a lot, especially when it comes to this game that is based on a setting that is typically very problematic for those kinds of elements.
Right, yeah. I just like killing shit with swords.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's good and it's fun and it's fine to enjoy doing that.
Yeah. I know that's all I got on that one.
No, that's all there is. Like we don't need to say anything else on that. That's what there is to it.
Yeah. Trying to come up with another good question. Do the different suits of cards do anything in this game?
Kind of. So for the gun and slinger, the face cards have certain abilities. They are face moves essentially. Let me find where I wrote them. Okay. So if you're the gun or the slinger, it's important to note that face cards don't pair with each other. Kings are used to succeed a check, even one that the other player is making. So if I have a king, you're trying to do something, you can't afford it, it's going to default to a bargain and a mixed success, I can pay with the king to let you succeed. Queens are wild cards. They can pair with anything. They can pair with any non-face single card. So I can pair a queen with a 10, and there we go. Or a queen with an ace, and there we go. And jacks are used. You spend a jack to draw 3 cards. So they change the flow up a little bit when it comes to the gun and the slinger handling the cards. Now for the maestro, they work totally differently. The maestro is my big lean into asymmetry. They're still playing this game. They still have to go fish. They still spend pairs. But the way it works for them is different. So when a maestro spins a pair, it's to be proactive in a scene. So I can react to whatever is going on in a scene. I can talk as NPCs. I can do things freely. But when I, as the maestro, have an idea for something that can shift a scene or to change the flow, I have to pay for it. And the pair that I pay with sets the difficulty of that thing coming into the scene. So say there's a hostage situation, the gun and slinger are in a standoff with a bandit that has a hostage. I can act as that bandit freely. But if I pay with a pair of 5s, I can have another bandit come into the scene, and the difficulty to deal with them in that immediate second is at least a 5. The maestro also uses the jokers to bring in a big bad antagonist that is constantly hunting the players. And lastly, the actual face cards for the maestro, the suit does affect them in this, just for the maestro. Each individual face card and the aces does a different thing in the scene, and then the suit tells you how it does it. So the king is used to separate the gun and slinger. And if it's a hearts card, you do that using the environment. So with the King of Hearts, I separate the gun and the slinger using the environment in some way. A building collapses, a hole opens in the ground, the wind blows really hard. And so that's just, it's the big hard-hitting moves, and it's presented in a way that shapes you with a little bit of improv guidance.
Right. And there's definitely a little bbit of like the Powered by the Apocalypse kind of influence of viewing the GM as a player instead of an omniscient storyteller. Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a big fan of GMs or players too.
It's a hard life being the forever GM.
This is why I design games that let GMs play.
I appreciate it. I mean, I say that I was literally in a game like an hour and a half ago, but
It's still a thing. It's
yeah,
you can play in games, but you're always running them.
yeah,
And I think it's a really interesting point of conversation for me. Um because I haven't always felt this way. For a long time I was like the GM has to have these things planned out. They have to write this whole fucking dungeon. They're going to have their plans foiled, and I started reading more indie games and I started playing like PBTA and listening to different things. I was like, no, actually, fuck this. Um, Improv is good. Plan nothing.
I wouldn't quite go so far as plan nothing, but I have for those of you who have inexplicably watched all of our videos, we did have a series that was like a entirely original world by me, which collapsed incredibly under its own weight because like my world building just kind of limited my options instead of giving me more, and I world built all the wrong shit. That's how it goes.
It happens. It really, really happens. I say plan nothing. I don't mean plan absolutely nothing. Um, what I more mean is like lean into the idea of your players and everyone at the table building the world and the story together. Um, there's a podcast that I listen to that I absolutely love called Spout Lore. It's a Dungeon World actual play with four Canadian improv artists, and they are one, the funniest fuckers on earth. Um, two, they really, really lean into this idea of like the GM has some ideas, and he's like, okay, today you're in this tower, and this is like the setup. Where do we go from here? And they build really, really awesome things in that world together because of how open they are with discussing these things and how much they do yes and I think that that's something that can empower and juice up um, any campaign. Because if you've got four brains on something, it's better than having one brain on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I've been seeing a weird trend on the tabletop RPG Twitter sphere, and this is gonna be an unpopular opinion. But I keep seeing people being like, sandbox games are actually all terrible, and the really good RPG experiences are always like very linear plots. It's like one, every table is different, and any advice that doesn't start with that is going to be crap. Two, no, like
No, I think I'm with you on this. The sandbox is harder to pull off.
yeah,
I think the thing is that the term sandbox game is very heavily associated with your critical roles. Your things that are this one person has a super huge world planned out. And the reason long eternal games in worlds like that, those big open sandboxes, if you will, the reason those are so derided is because it's very, very easy to either be told no as a player, which nobody likes, um, or for the hours and hours and hours of work you spent planning a dungeon never gets touched. You can always pick up that dungeon and put it somewhere else. Like nobody's gonna know, but
but you'll know, and it hurts.
you'll know, and that's not fun. You got to reskin all the monsters. It can't be undead here. It has to be lizard people. It's a whole thing.
It's a big problem.
I think both types of games have their place.
Yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely.
absolutely. Like you said, every table's different, and every story at every table is going to be different.
Yeah, like we've done a lot of stuff here. Most recently, it's been a bunch of like Wizards of the Coast modules because I kind of freaked out after that that one setting failed, so I've just been running like pre-made stuff. But hey, you know, and improvising a crap ton as I go, because if you're not, if you could be replaced with a game book, I'm not sure you're doing the best job as a game master. But
Plus, improv is where the coolest shit comes out.
true. Like I improvised a scene in a module with like a vital story character when I'd only read half the module and nobody realized it was improvised. So hell yeah.
Yeah, that's the secret GMs. Nobody's gonna fucking know.
Yep.
Do whatever you want.
Make shit up and hope for the best.
We just played through. I'm running like a loosely ongoing Monster of the Week game for some friends, and we just ran through Ollie Jeffrey's video store. One of the adventures in that, like, comment, subscribe, die. It's a very angry adventure and it's hilarious and I love it. We had to reskin it to fit in a modern fantasy 1998 setting. Oh, she's stretching.
Very good dog.
Very good dog doing the stretch. But like I improvised a whole additional villain for that. Just because it happened. I introduced this NPC and then was like, hey, he would make a cool villain. And so he was. And not only did nobody know, but everybody loved it. Lean into your gut instincts when you're running something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. You're a player too. Do cool stuff.
Exactly.
But yeah, this looks like a fun and weird game, and those are often my favorite kind. Where it's like, I don't like fantasy very much. Again, no secret to anybody who's watched a lot of these. I play it a lot because that's what people play, for reasons that could probably be an entire interview on their own, quite frankly. But this is a very weird brand of fantasy, and I like it.
Yeah, this is I describe it as like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind meets Breath of the Wild meets Mad Max.
Yeah,
that is a lot of what it is.
God, I love Breath of the Wild. What a good fucking game.
I need to play it again, but I don't want. My Wii U is covered in dust.
I have the Switch version, so you know.
That's the thing. Like, I could just get it on Switch, but I already have it.
This is actually the second copy of it I played.
Nice.
When it
Good.
came out, I was living with somebody else, and she bought it. So the other roommate and we both worked from home. So like every night, we would be playing that for like hours at a time, trading off every 2 hours, every like 3 or so hours. Just like, here, you take some time. I gotta let my hands rest. And we did that for like 2 weeks, and that's how I beat Breath of the Wild. That was fucking great.
My wife and I did something very similar, but we didn't beat it. We put something like 80 hours in that game, and only did like 2 shrines. It's so easy and satisfying to just hop into that game and just kind of just go.
Fuck around a bit, yeah.
It's good.
Red Dead Redemption 2 has ruined open world games for me because I've seen the best one, and everything else feels kind of hollow and empty, unfortunately.
Yeah, RDO2 is pretty good. That game fucked me up.
It's a wild goddamn ride, and that ending is perfect. Is the way I'm gonna put it.
It's good.
Yep.
It's good.
And like, there's so much crap in that game that's just like you run into one guy on the road, and it's a whole quest chain that you may not have ever seen otherwise. And it's like, great, I want that.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be a party pooper, but I have to since we did bring up The Company. It is a really, really good game. It's artful, it's magnificent, it's eternally fun. But Rockstar is a shit company for a number of reasons. It's my personal like ethos is like you can't praise something good that came out of a shitty company unless you also vocally and clearly recognize the shittiness that the company did.
Oh, so yeah, no, I'm totally down.
So there we go.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that, and it beats the crap out of like you can never say anything good about anything Rockstar
You
produces.
you can like bad things. It's okay to like bad things.
Anyway, Gun and Slinger.
So Gun and Slinger is a good game about shooting monsters.
Yep, and it wasn't produced under horrific conditions, except for coronavirus. Aside from that, that's
Right,
not
yeah,
that's
but
not.
I didn't do that to myself. And it's only been the last 7 months of production. Only half of its lifespan. It's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, it's been a wild 7 months, or yeah,
Yeah,
7-ish.
it's a lot. Anyways, this is my non sequitur back to Gun and Slinger. Did you have any other questions?
Um, Not really. I think we've covered pretty much everything. I guess the only other question is like, what made you decide I'm gonna make a game about a sentient gun and the person that wields it?
So it was a shit post. Like many of my best games, it was a shit post. There was over a year ago at this point, I think, if my time is correct, it's not. There was a game jam or like a meme going around in game design Twitter that was like, hey, take all your game names, put them into Talk to Transformer, and let it generate a list. That list is a list of the titles of your next games. Mine was pretty good, but the only one that I can remember at this point was Your Gun is a Gunslinger. So I took that and I was like, okay, I have to make this a game. What kind of mechanic have I not messed with yet? I haven't done anything with cards. What's an easy thing I can do with cards? Oh, go fish, I guess. And it was originally going to be a competitive game about a gunslinger fighting their gun in a duel to the death. And it eventually became this.
Through a series of wild twists and turns, as is the game development way.
I don't think I ever actually made the originally planned version. I think I got to, like, once I figured out Go Fish and how to make it work in an RPG, I was like, no, this needs to be something cooler. I'm sorry, your gun is a gunslinger.
Once I figured out Go Fish is an excellent sentence fragment as well. Like,
put that on a t-shirt.
Once I figure out Go Fish, I'll be unstoppable.
Those damn kids will never stop me once I figure out Go Fish. It's
Beautiful.
Perfect. It's got a good ring to it.
Well, this looks like a hell of a game. As we said, this is going to be on Kickstarter on August 13th?
August 13th.
13th. August 13th. Lucky 13. I had a discussion about the numbers 8 and 13 on like the previous interview I did. 13's unlucky in Western culture and 8's lucky in China. And this comes out on 8/13, so that's a weird coincidence.
The 13th is a good day for me. I've always liked Friday the 13th.
In general, or the movies, or
yeah.
All right. Have you played the game? Apparently, the video game's pretty good. The new one.
I haven't. I have very loud and intense thoughts about the modern kind of monster versus survivors games. It's a whole thing.
That's fair. I haven't really played any of them.
I don't think they're good. I'll keep it simple. I think they suck.
Which is really funny coming from the guy whose big deal is like asymmetry in game design, because that's like the point of
that's the thing. They're bad at it. They're bad at it, and they're not. No, I can't. I will go on a tear, and I told myself I wouldn't.
Well, I believe that about wraps it up then. If we're not going to get into a huge rant about why Evolve is the worst game ever produced.
You're really trying to bait me into this right now, and I don't appreciate it.
I am a scoundrel, I will admit.
So yeah, Gun and Slinger launches on Kickstarter August 13th. If you're watching this and you're interested, I'm going to go ahead and plug it. You can actually check it out at bytes.rip/GNS Kickstarter. That's bytes.rip/GNS Kickstarter. And if you're curious, you can find all my other crap at bytes.rip/links.
And you're also on a podcast as well, aren't you?
I have my own podcast, yeah. It's called Pen and Paper People. You can find that at rpgpeople.com. And I basically bring on game designers and we talk a little bit. It's broken into 3 sections. We talk about game design in general, then we play their game, and then we talk about their game that we just played.
That's excellent. That's way more structured than this. We just talk shit here.
Sometimes that's all you look, let me be perfectly clear. Sometimes that's all that podcast is. There's a lot of just talking shit on it. I don't think we're 2 episodes in and I've already given up on reining that in, so whatever.
Yeah, what I always tell people is, like, if you want a really dry, to the point interview, there's probably one in text form for whatever game we're talking about. If you want to see what the designer's like and hear us talk about whatever,
Yep.
Come check out cool crowdfunding.
There we are.
Well, yeah, I do believe that about wraps it up. So once again, thank you for coming on. This has been a ton of fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Yeah.
I got to ramble and I got that all out of my system.
Hell yeah. And for those of you watching at home, have a good night.
Bye.